such great nuggets. Tracy, you were going to clarify something.
Yes, just to clarify for everyone, in case you were wondering what the big move was, I decided to relocate from the Middle East back to the UK. But after a year in the UK, my UK people, Lord, I tried. I really tried. So I decided to go back to the Middle East. So that's for clarity.
Yeah, and relocation is, these are big decisions, aren't they? But, you did what you had to. And I think the most important thing, and kudos to you, is you did try.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I remember when Annette moved to the Middle East for like a year. Annette was like, I'm new. I'm still under relocation. I'm like, girl, no, you're not.
I'm still settling. Like it's.
So in a year, Tracy moved her entire family to the UK, did a big job.
School runs,
everything.
Job, work, alone, laundry.
While Annette was still being Annette of Arabia.
I'm still settling.
I'm still settling.
I'm still unpacking.
No one eased me in. They just said, I just hit the ground running.
Yeah,
but
easy into brunching we'll very tough life.
We'll let that slide. I'm not 40 yet, so I still, I'm treated differently. Right. I still don't have tea, like guys, But yes, it's a big milestone. I'm looking forward to it. But I'm sure you have stories. I'm sure you have sort of defining moments, lessons learned, things that I can glean from, and things that many of the viewers can learn from. So pray do tell.
For me, at 40, I think that I was delivered from FOMO. I touched about it earlier where I said that I feel like I've kind of come into like an understanding of myself, but God really did do a work in me in the sense of, so I remember a friend of ours, they might be here or not, had invited like some people to their kids' birthdays. And one time I was driving in the car with my husband, and I said to him, oh my God, God has delivered me from, because it got to the point where I realized that I didn't know about it and I didn't care so much. Like before, things like that would bug me. Like, how come I was left out?
Yeah.
How come I wasn't in? But now I was like, I didn't care so much, but it didn't just happen overnight. There were things that happened where I did feel left out, and I would cry to God in my closet. Like, God, what is it about me? Why is it that I wasn't able to make the cut? And those insecurities came out. I attended a course, I can't remember the lady who did it, called Managing Insecurity, something like that, where it was all based on biblical perspectives. And anyway, not just the course, I feel like God was literally bringing all these incidents to like bring them to the top for me to deal with it and stop pushing it under the carpet. Yeah. And it got to a point where I was like, God has delivered me from these things. And since then, when they say the peace of God which surpasses all understanding, even when something is thrown at me that I feel like I should be like, oh, how come this happened? How come that happened? It doesn't matter. Like, God has a way in just perfecting all things that concern us. So for me, it was a big, huge transition, which I appreciate every single day.
Great. Delivery from FOMO at 1040.
Yeah.
You know what? I say this, it's like the menopause. I'm peri 40. Because, you know what, I saw a meme about JOMO, the joy of missing out. And I was like, that's me. That's me. Honestly, the joy of missing out. Like, just in my frumpy boo-boo, hairnet, on my couch, not invited. Halas, it's fine,
Netflix and chilling.
Just Netflix and chill. But just in many, even for other things, not only about outings and being invited or not invited. There's just an actual JOMO you get when you're on the precipice of 40 or you've crossed 40. And I think, again, it has to do with what we've said over and over again, growth. So, but I'm sure there are more stories, and I'm itching to hear.
So actually, I look at it through a different lens. I think my journey started before 40. I felt like God was calling me to a place of silence. Because, you know, right now there's just so much noise, so much noise. And leading up to my 40s, I would say like 3 years back, that was like probably before COVID before COVID and during COVID, I just felt the need to just be by myself. Some days it will be days of listening to music, days of reading the word, but just myself. And I didn't know what it was, but obviously having dealt with some health challenges, which I actually wrote a book about, which will be released soon, by the way.
Watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space. It's actually called From 1 in 8 to Empowered. So watch out for that book.
There's public health in that. 1 in 8 is the risk of getting.
Let's not give too much away.
Fine,
From 1
fine.
in 8 to Empowered.
Okay.
So prior to that or after that, I felt, this is why I had to be still. This is why I needed that time to be by myself. So, and for you to hear from God, actually, you need some silence. And you know, sometimes we worry, it's human nature to always feel needed. It's human nature to feel wanted, like, oh, they thought about me, that kind of thing. But I felt God in that moment saying, I am that friend that sits closer than a brother. I am all you need. Depend on me more than you depend on anyone else. So even up to this point, sometimes I feel like I want my space. I want to sit by myself and just, even if I'm not doing nothing, just play some music, gospel music in the background, or just listen to some sermon on TV or something. You know, there's that need more than ever to just enjoy the tranquility that comes with being in God's presence.
Right.
Yeah.
Lovely.
But-
And would you say 5 years ago,
Yeah.
or say 10 years ago, 30-year-old Ify wouldn't have been that way?
Of course not.
Of course not.
I mean, even though I was reserved, but I still wanted to feel like I belong
ask me,
to
and then I'll
some-
say no. Ask me. You know? Yeah.
You know,
Right,
so my
yeah.
mentality clearly is different for various reasons.
Yeah, and the need for solitude wasn't as pronounced,
No,
you wouldn't
no.
say. Yeah.
Yes. What I was going to add was that Tracy used to be our, what did you
Social
call
prefect.
social
What did it
prefect.
used to be? What did it used to be?
Although she used
She's black on it.
Tracy used to be a social prefect, and when Tracy moved to the UK, Ify tried to take on the social prefect role.
I didn't last long.
She didn't last.
Tracy moved.
She did.
Can we talk about when Tracy moved and was like on video at every
Yes.
dance floor?
Well,
Yeah.
yes, I would say I'm a people person. I think that's true of who I am. I do enjoy being around people. I like, I like dancing in particular. But I do have to say, though, yes, turning 40, I think and hanging out with Miss Ify, who, by the way, is very similar to my husband. I think they're rubbing off on me more and more. So right now, I think there was a party like last week or something, and I was like, Lord, not today.
No.
And I sat on my sofa, my kids were out, my husband was out, and I literally just hung out, me, myself, my popcorn, and Netflix, and it was lovely.
So just go back to the UK because there are too many parties in the Middle East. Like, because this is our life here. You know, but yeah, I hear you. It's a lot, and just being able to make those decisions. I will RSVP. No, I'm sorry, you get your present, but I can't be there. Just because you want to be by yourself, introspective, praying. You know, just something, just by yourself, really. I hear you.
I would add that turning 40 also made me more self-aware of how much I'm balancing as a mother, as a wife, my career, and also in my marriage. And particularly how much I was carrying with 4 kids. I was like, okay. When I had 1 child, it was easy for me to run up and down and do everything. With 2 kids, it was okay. But with 4, it's like, okay, brother, come here. We are doing this together. This is not me alone. I think that's one thing that hit me after I, getting in after the babies and entering 40. I'm like, okay, there's a lot we're doing. It's 4. So yeah,
Share
kids, yes, responsibilities, yes, delegating, sharing, yes.
Yeah. But you are a super mom. You must.
By God's
Superwoman.
Yeah. No, but well done. Really, lots of food for thought. I can't wait. Okay. I do have a bit of FOMO for 40, like I feel like I'm missing out, so I can't wait to cross.
Yes.
Come
I
on
can't,
over.
oh, yes, I can't wait
Coming
to.
over to the
Are you
other
guys going to
side.
be those people who go like, welcome to the fourth floor? Don't do that on my birthday. Just say happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
No.
We're going to call you out to sit you in the middle.
Yes.
To the fourth floor.
But
They're going to be lambasting over
but
you.
I'm sure there is a fourth floor. I'm sure there's something to step onto. And I feel like I can almost levitate. But yes, can we, I think between the four of us, we have almost 14 children, I guess, or thereabouts. So that must be a lot to balance and juggle. And can we just talk about how we're doing all of that? I do could just mention that she has, she's coming to the realization that she does have to share responsibilities. And as, juggling life as a mother of four, as a professor at the medical school, as a wife, and quite a lot of church activities and responsibilities you carry in Adogo, don't you?
Yes.
So is anyone else able to talk more about juggling?
Juggling.
I'm hoping to learn a thing or two.
It's always a difficult topic, trying to talk about balancing, being a wife, being a mother, having a career. It's always difficult, but you have to take it back to the center of where it all began, which is God.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? He's the core of everything. So I think if you're in a relationship where you both understand what you're into, like, okay, yes, there's the aspect of trying to make sure that you're serving in various ministries. Also, the aspect of trying to make sure that your kids actually get the attention that they need.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, for example, I work in the hospital, I do shifts. So by the time I come back, like I do 12-hour shifts. By the time I'm home, the kids are almost in bed. I don't know what's happened in school. But I'm confident because I know that my husband is there and he feeds back to me what has happened. So I'm dependent on him for most of the things. If I'm not there, I know that the kids are going to be fine. Sometimes I'm like, oh, hi. Like, I'm not bothered about, oh my gosh, what happened? Because I know, oh, he's dealt with everything.
But he's working as well.
And
But
he
so
works
is that
as well.
because
But
his
there's-
timings
Yes,
are
there's
different?
a balance. So
Right.
he finishes, he's off work at 4, and thankfully we're in an environment where there's time, like there's more time to be spent with the kids.
Yeah.
So he's off
Great.
at 4, he finishes work, he has time to take them from one activity to the next, and he has time to do all other things by the side. So is having that mindset that God has called us here for a reason. Yes, the lifestyle is great. Yes, we have time on our hands to do all we want to do. But he's also given us that time to reach out there
Do
and
his
minister to
work.
people
Yeah,
and do his
and do
work.
his
So
work, yeah.
it's having that balance and having that understanding in your household, I think that kind of helps.
That helps with the juggling. So
Yes.
what I'm hearing is balance, understanding,
Yeah.
thinking, going back to the
And
core.
your priorities, making sure you have your priorities. right.
Priorities.
Kids always come first because that's our number one mission. I mean, he's blessed you with those kids to make
Yes.
sure that you give them the best
Definitely,
of upbringing.
definitely.
So,
yeah. So balance, juggling involves balance,
Yeah.
working with your partner, eyes on the prize, the goal, kids top on the priority.
Yeah.
Of course, there is kingdom work,
Yeah.
but the core is God.
Yes.
Juggling,
Yeah.
juggling.
And in him, you find answers to everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you stay
So-
connected to the
Yeah.
source,
Yeah.
keep the core strong,
Yeah.
everything falls
falls
into
in
place.
place.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is great. This is
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
So I think it was interesting for me to hear when Iffy said that, our kids are number one priority. Obviously our kids, yes. However, I would say that as a personality, I'm somebody who has always found a lot of value in my work, in my job. And it's something that I am working on and I'm trying to change. But I put a lot of emphasis into my career. And I think it's because, I think that's how I was raised. There was a lot of pressure put on us as children to do really well.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like if everything is fine and my career is not where it needs to be, I have this sense that I will feel like I haven't achieved what I need to. So somehow, that holds a super high priority in the ranking list. For my home, I won't be able to do it without my husband. Like
Yeah.
partnership is everything. Even today, like that we're here, I've got a photo, a video of him taking my daughter to Sephora because they're doing girly stuff. So
What
to
a
me,
life. What a life, Eva.
so to me, like working with him, he's a lifesaver. I'm able to totally focus on my job work, on my ministry work, because of how much he helps me to do at home. He helps me to do her homework. He helps me to just make sure that things are running as they should do. Obviously, I'm there when I can, but he plays a big role in that. So balancing act is something that I'm still working on. I'm still praying to God about, because I feel like my self-worth should not come from my job. Like I know that is the case. It's just there's something in me that's finding it difficult to switch that off, and that's something that's still work in progress.
Yeah. Talking about career, going by what Uche said, and balancing actually, I think that's something that I definitely struggled with a lot in my 30s, trying to balance, my family with kingdom work, with my career, with everything. I think I struggled with that. And speaking about career, I qualified as a chartered accountant, of course, in my 20s. And sometimes when you go on LinkedIn or wherever and you see, some of your colleagues have made partner or assistant partner, you start to feel like, Lord, what am I doing with myself? And, part of what my relocation, came with me taking on like an FD role in the UK.
Sorry, what's FD?
It's like a financial director role in the UK. But that 1 year, I really couldn't balance anything, I'll be honest. I feel like I worked 24/7. I didn't see my kids. I didn't see, I didn't have much of a life. And eventually I had to tell myself, right, let's, or the Lord, I had to come to a point where, right, priorities, what is important now? My kids need me at this point. They're not old enough yet. This probably isn't the time to be having this kind of career at this point in time. And I had to say, you know what, in order to balance my children, myself, my life, this is not working. And I had to come to understand that in life, there are seasons. A time will come when, the kids are older and I can do this, I can be, CFO, whatever, and I'll have all the time to do that. But right now, for me, I guess that wasn't the time. So I had to learn to forego that or to leave that to be able to balance. And again, like Ife and Uche have said, we can't do this on our own. And we thank God for our partners, because my husband as well, when it comes to Kumon, I say Kumon, I can. When it comes to Kumon, Daddy does a lot of that. So we're grateful for that.
Speak.
But
it's happening in my house right now. Like my husband is on the dining table with the children with like papers spun around, and he'll do that and he'll take them out. And, like homework, tick, because otherwise, how are we going to do it? So you see a woman outside, she's a physician, she's a medical doctor, she's this and this and that. Just know that, she's being carried by a lot of other people. And first is our nearest and dearest. Without my husband, there's just no way any of this will happen, any of it,
Totally agree.
So but I hear you, Tracy, and what you said just reminded me of something an older woman once said to me. She looked at me and said, Annette, you can have it all, not just at the same time. And I don't know how it made me feel, because the ambitious person in me just thought, I thought it was pessimistic actually, but almost 40-year-old Annette now thinks I completely understand what she meant. It will all get done, but just not at the same time.
There's different seasons.
There's different seasons, there are different phases in the life of a woman. And like he said, your children were too young for you to be in that role at that time. You might come back to it later. You might come into bigger things later, but just being able to nip it in the bud and say, not right now, it doesn't fit into the script at this time. And I think getting into 40, you get that clarity and growth, is, I believe.
Right? So, So definitely turning 40 just made me realize that there's a juggling that needs to be done, a reshuffling of things, a reshuffling of, my time and my energy, where it is spent. And we're learning. It's still a work in progress, I would say.
Okay. Great. So much food for thought. So in all of this juggling, we've been talking a lot about juggling, and in all of this, our mental and physical health must not suffer. So is there any advice on how to juggle that as well, if I may use that word?
I've always practiced self-reflection. I think it comes with my job as a healthcare professional. So I'm always reflecting. At the end of the day, I'm like, oh, what could I have done better? What went wrong? Why did it go wrong? So I think getting yourself into the habit of, it could be debriefing per se, like having that discussion with people close to you, friends, your husband, family, your children, having that reflective attitude rather than leaving things to spill over is actually good for our mental health, because mental health in this day and age is key. I mean, you get to 40, every little thing makes me bawl. Like, I just find myself crying. I'm like, why are you crying over, one word? So I think reflecting on things that have gone wrong or things that have gone right in your life is actually the way forward, and that's what I practice. And I find that helps to keep me stable, kind of thing.
So when you say reflecting, do you sit and think, or are you writing and journaling?
I do write sometimes, but I think talking about it, because I'm quite reserved, and my husband will always tell me that I leave things till it's spilling over, and then I'm like, oh, I want to talk. So now I kind of get myself into the habit of, if I'm upset about something, I'll be like, actually, why did you do that? Or why did you have to say that? So there and then I kind of deal with it. And sometimes, it's done. With the kids, sometimes I'll write it down and wait till a while so I don't forget. So at least he reflects back on things that has gone wrong. So
Okay, so reflecting, possibly journaling.
Mental health. So there are a lot of things I think I try to do, because I find that if I wait for things to bubble up, then it's more difficult for me to reset. So I try to nip things in the bud as I go along. So some of the things I do, number one, when I feel aggrieved, like if I have an argument with my husband or something, or disagreement, I would say, I try not to sleep on it. It's easier said than done, but it bugs me more than it bugs him, because he sleeps so well. Like, you will hear him snoring, and I'm like, how is this guy at peace? So it's for my benefit that I try to, this is what she said, or this is what she did that I didn't like, nip it in the bud, move on. Like, forgiveness is key. Holding on forgiveness just doesn't help the situation. I also personally like to go out for walks and runs. Like the endorphins and everything, for me, that's a relaxing thing. I know a lot of people say they don't like to run, but when I feel stressed, that's when I run. And I used to be a runner in school, so like running is my sport. So I really enjoy that. And then obviously prayer and, just like listening to worship songs. You can listen to worship songs for like hours on end. That just brings instant peace. So those are some of the things I think that work for me.
Good nuggets. So if we can't run, can we walk, or is it just the outdoor that's the healing piece?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like, I like being outdoors. I do not like to run in a gym at all. I like being outdoors, but also I think the fact that you're running or walking quickly, which you call brisk walking
in nature.
Yes. So the fact that just the way it gets your heart rate up, it really helps to release some endorphins that help to reduce stress.
I would say, Uche knows I'm not a runner. I'm not one for it. Even like outdoor sports so much. Like now that I'm 40, I'm like, Like there's a friend that keeps saying, oh, when are we going for a walk? I'll be like, I'm coming. Because now I know that this is just not for me, and I need to just find what is for me. But what changed for me was turning 40. I know even with before 40, with pregnancy and kids and trying to lose weight after each baby, like I found that watching what I ate worked better. And also I became more conscious about what I put inside my body. Before, like, I'd be feeding the kids, what for you, what for me, what for you, what for me. But I'd eating their cereal, no, I don't even remember the last time I touched cereal or any of their stuff, you know. So for me, I'm more on the what I put in my body. My body is my temple. And I just go that way. Even for my mental health, I find prayer and also just taking time with God in fasting and prayer. It does a lot for clearing my mind, giving me clarity on what I need to do.
Tell us about your vegan diet.
We've had different diets.
I want to hear about the vegan diet.
You know, we've tried it all. And one thing comes to mind, there's a saying that we eat to live and not live to eat.
Yes.
So clearly watching what you take in does.
Yeah, so my diet journey is not just for me. I always pull my friends. When I was turning 40, I did the Bible challenge. I pulled everybody in to do a fast and pray. And, you know, even the other one was a 21-day one where I shared. And so it's not just for me. It's, you know, we're a village, right?
So, yeah, for mental health, I think I'm similar to Uche in the sense that normally I don't like to leave things under the carpet. That's not me. If there is an issue, or if I think there is an issue with somebody, I like to say, right, let's sit down, let's talk about it. I don't like elephants in the rooms. That's not something that I like to do. If I think there is an elephant, me and you, we will go, you know, we'll do something. Either we'll go, we'll go to Starbucks, wherever. We'll sit down and we'll talk about it. And that's kind of the way I handle that. Another thing that I tend to do, as most people know, is usually I'm a early morning walker. I think,
oh my gosh,
you know, like
4 a.m.
4
you
not 4 a.m. At least 5 a.m., 5:15, I like to be out of my house, and I would walk for about an hour. And for me, that just sets the day. That gives me some time to think, time to pray. It's a prayer walk. You know, I can speak in tongues and just walk and listen to music or listen to scripture, but that usually is my time during the week, though, not on the weekends. But that's another thing that I think helps in my mental health.
So when do you update your version? Because it comes
Usually,
at 5:55.
yes, exactly. For those that follow my WhatsApp, exactly. Usually I do that when I'm walking and reading. So that's when I update the status, and you know that yes, Tracy is walking, and she's praying and she's reading.
It's a bit late.
Yeah.
On the weekend, I was going to talk about it. I was going to ask her that, you know.
Yeah, weekends we tend to lie in a bit.
So I just want to be a testament to the fact that you do practice what you preach, because I do remember a time when Tracy and I did have a disagreement on a particular topic. And so I think when I talk about I like to sweep things under the carpet, it does kind of depend on who it is. Some things I'm like, you know what, I'm not even going to talk about it. Let it just be gone. So this was one of the situations where I was like, let it just, like, I just wanted it to disappear. And Tracy was like, no, I want you to come and have coffee with me, and we have to talk about this. And talking about it with you at the time, really, like, instantly, everything I was feeling that was boiling up inside of me literally just like left. So, you know, something so to you maybe so small, like really meant a lot to me, you know.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Good to know.
Thank you for watching. Join us again on the next episode on Pua Speaks.
Pua Speaks! Should we take some pictures? Let's do it in a